Welcome to the family with.
Alex Bernard Rasmussen.
Andy Bernard.
Co-host Catherine Brandt.
Gee, look at that. Now we're talking. Now we're kicking into high gear. So, any big plans now? Because it's also Ash Wednesday.
Oh,
It is.
yeah.
Big day. Big day.
It's a big day. You can
It's
get ashes on
also-
your noggin.
A tragic day
What?
for Pop-Tart lovers everywhere.
What?
The inventor of the Pop-Tart has died.
Who's that?
I would have assumed.
Will Post.
Oh, he's actually a member
Oh,
of the
like
Post
Post
family?
Toast?
I
Toasties?
think so.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
He died at the age of 96,
I was gonna
which
say,
is younger than I thought he would have been. Because when I think Pop-Tarts, I think they've always existed.
Did he live in Palm Beach?
It feels very 50s to me.
I don't know who Marjorie Merriweather Post was, but she was the one that built Mar-a-Lago,
Right.
where Trump is doing his thing.
Let's see,
well,
William
we
Post.
know he died with a decent amount of money.
He sure
boy.
did.
He was comfortable.
Yeah.
We know that.
Oh, different Will Post.
Oh, really?
Will Post was the winner of the Pennsylvania lottery. Shortly afterward, his brother tried to have him murdered for the inheritance.
Not the right one. Different William Post.
Different guy.
I was like, wow, he won the lottery and then invented the Pop-Tart?
Yeah.
Nope.
And then
Well,
I
you
kept
know,
reading.
could have
Lucky guy. Well,
I don't know
yeah.
where Bill Post lived.
Bill Post.
Michigan
Post Toast.
native.
He was a
William-
Michigan native, yeah, but I don't know where he lived at the end of his life.
Well, maybe he wasn't
There's
even
the
part of
story.
that family. Maybe he's just a different post.
I wonder, actually. He
No,
might.
it had to be because that's like a.
Yeah.
Well, but Pop-Tarts aren't
like-
Post, are they? Aren't they like General Mills or something?
Well, I think it was like,
Doesn't post.
you know, they all
own-
buy each other.
Yeah, it's all like
That
a
is true.
conglomerate.
I don't know. I don't think he was part of that Post family.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a coincidence.
What can one say? That's all
Oh,
I
yeah.
know.
Famous cereal guy named Post.
Maybe he sold it to some conglomerate.
Let's see. Pop-Tarts are Kellanova, whatever the
Kellogg's.
Kellogg's, yes.
Yeah.
Kellogg's. Oh, well, it was Kellogg's until this year. Now it's Kellanova, which is formerly the Kellogg Company.
There you
Is the
go.
so
cereal
Kellogg-
gonna be
Kellogg's
Kellanova
is
now?
gone. Yeah, it's Kellanova cereal, and it's not Kellogg anymore.
What?
Yeah, Kellogg's is gone.
Why?
What?
Because everybody has to rebrand.
Yep,
Because somebody
some-
got mad.
Yep, some
Kellanova.
dumb thing that I'm sure doesn't matter at all.
Well, today at my children's school is a very big day because it's Ash Wednesday and they go to a religious school. It's Valentine's Day and it's the second grade teacher's birthday.
Wow. It's just
So
going to be
Fawn's
nothing but
class is
partying
just-
on.
Fawn's class is just going to be flying high today.
So I have a question. Are all? See, I didn't know that. I never knew this, and I never even thought of it to tell you the truth. But so, Saint Valentine's Day was invented by who?
Hallmark.
Yeah, I don't know who specifically I guess the
Probably
Catholic
Hallmark.
Church,
No.
technically. Well, Saint Valentine.
Saint
yeah,
Valentine.
when he was canonized. Well, I mean, it was just something people did, and then they turned it into a day eventually.
Background of Valentine's Day. The 8th century Galatian, sacramentary recorded the celebration of the Feast of St. Valentine on February 14th. The day became associated with romantic love in the 14th and 15th centuries when notions of courtly love flourished, apparently by association with the lovebirds of early spring.
There you
That
go.
didn't really...
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it was just
Say
like
who it is.
Saint
Really?
Valentine used to
What?
get Christians married in secret back when they weren't allowed to.
Yeah.
And then
Christians weren't allowed to marry?
yeah, he was in some I don't know if it was like a Roman Empire kind of thing or what, but
Well, it was like
they didn't
a-
like
Oh,
Christians
that's
for
right.
a very
They were
long
feeding
time.
them to the lions.
Yeah, they didn't
That's
like
right.
Christians for a long time, but he'd marry Christians in secret, and then whoever didn't like that found out and killed him. He became a saint, and then people started celebrating the anniversary of his death, and then it turned into Valentine's Day.
Who is
Interesting.
this mysterious
Yep.
saint and where did
Yep.
these traditions come from? There's the History Channel has a whole thing about it if you want to read on
Yeah,
it.
it's very interesting. And every time I watch one of those, if you ask me 3 months later how it
Yep.
started,
yeah.
I've completely forgotten,
Absolutely no
even though
idea.
I've watched.
Don't forget
the show.
tomorrow. Later today, if you asked me, I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. So, Tom, you know how much you like government waste? Mm-hmm. Want to hear a good one?
I'd love to hear it.
The U.S. government asked a judge for permission to sell a $300 million Russian super yacht seized in 2020, citing the fact that it's been costing taxpayers $600,000 a month to maintain.
A month?
The hefty monthly tab includes $360,000 in payments to the 348-foot vessel's crew, plus $75,000 for fuel and $165,000 in other maintenance like waste removal and food. Who is using the yacht?
Yeah, who is using it?
Why are we
It's unbelievable.
paying for some yacht to be used by, I mean, this is just like government people just, hey,
Yeah.
let's
Yep.
meet you on the yacht. It's on the taxpayer's dime. Do you believe this?
How much per year?
Well, $360,000 a month.
A month.
1 month.
So $4 million, little about almost $4.5 million a year to keep this yacht.
But why? Okay, so we seized it, and why does anybody get to use it? Why didn't it just
get
get
it.
sold and put that money towards one of their little projects?
Well, there are two things that happened yesterday. The House went forward with the impeachment. They got it by one vote, but it's never going to pass the Senate, so it's not going to go anywhere. So I don't know what we're doing there. And then also the election in New York, they chirp and chirp and chirp about we have to take care of women. Women have to be empowered. We have to take care of people of color. They have to be empowered. We have to take care of, there are three different things. And as soon as this woman who was black is up for election, can't vote for her, she's the wrong party. So basically, it's okay to take care of people of color only if they're a member of your party. A woman, only a member of your party. An immigrant, only a member. And I'm not just pointing fingers at the Democrats here. Both parties are doing it. The Republicans went with this vote that's not going to go anywhere in the Senate. And the Democrats voted out that guy was gone anyway. But they did not support the woman, the immigrant, nor the person of color because they wanted to make sure their party was in charge. I mean, what is it? Are you serving the people, or have you created this hideous system now of Republicans and Democrats who can't find their ass with both hands?
Like I said, we need to, let's start a union.
Yeah, there you go.
A taxpayers union. I mean, I know that the government is supposed to be the taxpayers union, but they're not doing a good job.
Our
They've been
government
compromised.
sucks.
So I think if we have a taxpayers union, then we would be able to see what everybody's spending all their money on. When they have yachts, we'd be able to find out who's on it and spending $360,000 a month.
A month. Yeah.
And why that's allowed. And we could find out all kinds of stuff that we don't seem to get any answers to as regular tax-paying citizens.
Where is this yacht?
I don't know.
It doesn't say what city it's in?
I didn't read the whole story.
Well, you don't have to read the whole story. I was just kind of wondering why they don't just scrap the thing.
Well, because it's
Well, it's worth a lot of money.
$300 million.
Jesus. Then sell it. It's kind of the same situation where, hey, we got $19 billion in Minnesota, but we're not going to give it back to you, the taxpayer. We're going to piss it away on other things.
The super yacht called Amadea reportedly belongs to Russian billionaire Suleiman Kerimov, an alleged money launderer sanctioned by the U.S. in 2018 as one of several oligarchs who profited from the Kremlin. What the hell? That guy's worth $9.1 billion. It was seized at the request of the U.S. government in Fiji. It doesn't say
Whatever.
where it is. I bid $1,000.
Well,
I'll take it for $1,000.
well,
$1,000 bucks.
apparently you need $600,000 a month to operate it. So are you
Yeah.
sure?
No,
you wanna
only
do that?
$360,000.
Well, no, I'd sell it. I'll buy it from the government. Wait, how can I launder money? I don't know how to launder money.
But
Does
see, that
anybody
would
know
be
how?
that'd be my question. Why don't they sell the damn thing so we don't have to pay for it?
Maybe there's some question whether the United States actually had the right to take it, or I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's the government. Like I said, we never know anything that's going on. They just do whatever they want.
Look, and I'm not trying to disparage either the Democrats nor the Republicans or the rest of it, but I don't understand how you can be locked in 100% with either one of those parties. They do some of the most scummy things on earth, and they both do it. How can you support either one? It's like, ugh, I'll stay in the center. Works for me.
Yep.
right? Vote for
That's a
some
good
Democrats,
idea.
some Republicans, and try to avoid everyone else. That'd be magnificent.
Avoid
It's like,
everyone
Jesus.
else.
Well, it's just disgusting. They're pissing away all of our money. What was it? Came to how much a year? $5 million a year.
360,000 a month times 12, Andy.
Jesus. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's like $5 million a year.
Yeah,
just
it's
for that.
4.3.
4.3. Jesus. Okay, we better get off that before I pop a bolt because I'm so sick of them pissing away our tax money. Our taxes. Did you see? Honestly, the taxes in this country and the spending in this country went up by 18.7% in the last couple of years, and the cost of everything just skyrocketed. So we can't afford anything anymore.
Well, that's what inflation is.
Well, I know, but they keep talking about how wonderful everything.
A
Things are
friend
not
of mine
wonderful.
just went and saw, she sat through some talk about, I don't know, from some economist or something. They're just saying, oh, everything is just great. The economy is great.
No,
that
it's
everybody should
not.
just stop complaining and the economy is great. And I'm like, well, maybe for big corporations and high earners it is, but the people in the middle on down, not so great.
It is not. Okay, the Wall Street Journal's popping up here. I don't see their reports so far. Oh, there it is. It just popped up. So the Dow Jones is up today, but it was down, 500 and some points yesterday?
It bounces around. It makes me insane.
Oh, it's up 0.08%. So it dropped by 500 and some points yesterday, and it's trying to inch back now. So
Well, the Dow is always dependent on jobs reports,
right.
and whatever's going on as far as the economy goes. But it's not related directly to the economy. They react to the economy.
Yeah.
So when it goes down, there's usually been some talk of interest rate hikes, or the GDP didn't come in, or something, didn't happen.
Alex, did you talk to Tevin before you left? Is Deborah Graham going to call in, or
Tevin is
are
still
we
here.
calling her?
Art is supposed to call us.
They're supposed to call. Okay,
He's
so
still
you
here.
know
He's lingering in the corner waiting for her call.
he's lingering.
Like a sad man on Valentine's Day, just waiting.
Well, I suppose that'll. Well, we can wait until he gets there. But yeah, the stock market yesterday was down 500 some points. Today it's up 0.08%.
Okay, let me see
Not
what
a
my
lot.
E-Trade is doing here.
E-Trade.
My E-Trade. Probably not good. I sold off a lot of my stuff because I was just so disgusted. with
Okay,
the
while you're
whole
looking at that, I want to ask you a question. The 6 months that short-circuited the electric vehicle revolution, is this going to actually happen? Because I've owned 3 electric vehicles in my life, and there's always been a problem with all 3. Well, the new one, so far, there hadn't been any problems with.
Well, it'll happen, but they just tried to force it way too early.
They did.
They tried to
No
force
question.
it 10 years before it was ready.
Yeah, like we weren't prepared to support the electric
No.
vehicles
The
when
battery
they were.
tech wasn't there. The infrastructure wasn't there. There's a lot of things that weren't there.
It's still
Yeah,
not really there
No.
in a lot of
I
ways.
still really love the fact that we can't drill for oil in America, but we will drill everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Do you think only the United States pollutes? Is that what you're trying to say? The scamming for money in this country is just makes me want to vomit.
People fall for it.
They do. And it's all around the world. It's not just in this country, but our country's right there at the lead of the pack.
If we buy oil from Saudi Arabia and then burn it to charge an electric car,
Yep.
people are thinking, oh, wow, clean energy,
I know.
infinitely renewable.
It's ridiculous.
They don't know what the world is actually like. They just, they see, you plug it into your wall. They don't think about where the electricity comes from.
I guess
You
not.
just get the electricity, and they don't see any smoke or anything. The electricity's good, so they got to be living a clean, easy life.
Yeah, I was looking. I don't know. There was something that popped up about hydrogen cell cars.
Yeah, that I don't think
Toyota
that's
has one that's only, and the only place that has these is California. Apparently,
not anymore.
Why?
I think they just got rid of them.
What?
Yeah, or at least one chain did.
Well, I have exciting news. We
Okay.
have our guest.
Oh, okay.
Now you're talking Deborah Graham, ladies and gentlemen. Her book, Psychic Deborah Graham's Guide to Attracting and Keeping Your True Love, and her podcast, Psychic Connection with Deborah Graham. Deborah, how you doing?
Fine, and happy Valentine's Day. How you doing?
Happy Valentine. Well, I'm with my family. The 4 of us are all on the show every day. we work it out. Well, 3 days out of the 5 we're all together, and then there are a couple of days we're not. But yeah, so I'm very, very happy. It's Valentine's Day. It's Ash Wednesday. I'm sitting right next to my
Yes.
wife and our son. Our daughter is engineering the show. So yeah, it's a great day.
Wow, that is wonderful. You got the whole family working. That's wonderful. One-stop shop. I'm loving on it.
We all hang out together, and we haven't hated each other yet that I know of.
Oh, this
What?
is awesome. We love it.
No question about it. So how did you get involved? How does a person find out if they're psychic or not? How do you find that out?
Well, I believe that we're all intuitive to a certain degree. I believe that we all have this intuition to connect. It's kind of like you have a feeling, a premonition. Things may come to you through visions, through dreams, maybe through the other side. So you're always going to connect energetically somehow. But what people miss out on is they're not present. They don't pay attention. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
they may not be as intuitive as I am because this has been my life's work for over 40 years in doing this energy work and healing and helping people, whether they're looking for a match, a relationship, or trying to communicate with a loved one they lost on the other side. I like to call myself the one-stop shop. So I teach people not only how to communicate with their loved ones, but to find love and relationship, but to also help them communicate with their own intuition. But pay attention. That's what's important. If you feel something, always pay attention to it. That is your absolute best sign right there. That's a gift.
It's so interesting. Catherine and I met Catherine, my wife, who's sitting right next to me here. We met 44 years ago. I walked.
Congratulations. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. Praise be to God. Amen.
That doesn't happen a lot anymore, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. People are, getting married. It's a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. 3 years down the road. It used to be the 7-year itch. Now it's the 3-year itch.
Yeah, that's true. 7-year itch is now the 3-year itch. But yeah, it's. I don't know. People. One of the reasons people love the podcast that we do here, we'll do a couple different ones, but one of the reasons is because our family is intact. We don't have anything bad to say about each other. I just told Catherine a couple of nights ago, not even thinking that Valentine's Day was coming up. I kissed her goodnight and said, I love you more every day. And it just,
Oh, that's wonderful.
But
That's
it's
wonderful.
true.
To do that, we would live in a happier place, and that is the way it needs to be. It's simple. It's not the jewels and the games and the playing and all the materialistic things. It's about the little things that are so important. That's priceless, baby. That's priceless.
no, I think it's great. Both of the children now, Andy is married to Melissa. They have a little boy. Alex is married to Dan. They have a little girl and
congrats.
a little boy. Everything. I got to be honest with you, Deborah. My life has worked out beautifully, and I think it's because of the people I'm surrounded by. I really do.
Absolutely. 100%. Because we talk about that in my book, too, Psychic Deborah Graham's Guide to Attracting and Keeping Your Own True Love. We talk about those energy vampires. And if you put yourself in a situation, as I like to call it, around negative vampire people, you're going to attract negative vampire people. And exactly what you said, you put your family in a healthy place, and because you believe in the higher power, whether you call them God, Allah, Master, Teacher, Creator, it's because you believe. And when you believe and you have faith, the universe will give you everything you need. And that's why you've been able to be where you're at. What a beautiful family, what a beautiful home, a beautiful wife, and been married for over 40 years. So kudos to you. You got to spread that love, and I think you're doing a great job. God bless.
Well, thank God. Thank you for that too. But for me, I do run into people, and I don't know. I have never asked the rest of my family about this, but I do run into people who listen to the show and all the rest of it. And you can tell they've got a little bit of an attitude because our family is so close. Because the four of us are all very close. Then you bring in the other, now it's another 5 people. I just think it's great. But some people get very angry. Oh, you've been with the same woman for 44 years. On July 7th, we'll have been married for 40 years. And it's not that there weren't any bumps in the road, Catherine. What do you think?
I know. I've been so terrible sometimes.
Just terrible. Terrible, Catherine. That's all there is to it. But I mean, I don't know why. So the way I look at that whole deal is, and it's been brought up to me, how did I get so lucky to find just the right person? And then we had 2 children, Andy and Alex. They have children now. They're married. Everybody seems very, very happy. It's not a lot of turmoil. Because I came from a very turmoil-filled family. I mean, they're divorces and murder and all kinds of stuff. It was, I don't know, is that why I was so singularly focused on finding someone that would be a great fit?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now intuitively because I'm tapping into your energy, and that's what I do on my podcast, The Psychic Connection with Deborah Graham. The same way I'm going to read you, the way that I read everyone else that calls in and gets a reading. It's because your karmic contract is clear. You came into this earth with no karmic contract, and you refuse, I repeat, you refuse to take on your family's karmic debts or energy, DNA, to clear that energy. So what you've done is you've worked extra hard to not be like the rest of them. And you raised your vibration by 100,000 times to a higher level of consciousness in order to reactivate your cellular energy. Now, what does that all mean? That means because you've worked on your belief system, you love the one you're with yourself, and because you're spreading love and you're giving back to others. And when people are all about gimme, 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 what have you done for me lately? Those are what you call lower vibrational people. And because you've given so much, and I'm not just talking with your wife, your family, your whole life. You're the person that'll stop at the side of the street and help somebody who, is broken down. Most people, they don't do that anymore, okay? But you have that giving energy because you have a very strong starseed energy over you, and you do have 3 loved ones. You have 2 females and a male watching over you, okay? So these are loved ones. These are blood-related, and they're asking for forgiveness, so whatever that means, and also telling you that it is your time that you are transferring into this new beginning of love. And if people are jealous of you, that is freaking great. That means you made it. You made it. Let me tell you why. It's because you got something they want. People are not jealous of people that don't have it. You got it. You are in it to win it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Coming in hot, baby.
So I got to ask you one thing about that, because I agree with you 100%, by the way. When people don't like it, the fact that you have this wonderful life, you've been successful, you have a great family, you have this, you have that, and blah, 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 they want to harm you, particularly in the state of Minnesota. They love to backstab people in the state of Minnesota. There's no question about that.
Really? I thought you guys were the salt of the earth. Minnesota? Oh, my God. You should come down to, the north side. Come to New York. Come to South Florida. Then you'll see what backstabbing people are. You're
Well, there you go.
Well, we're in South Florida right now.
We're in South Florida right now, so that works. But
there
here's what Deborah, here's the problem I have with that. Let's say, because I've been in the radio business for 54 years, done very well, had the #1 morning show in America. This podcast is doing extremely well. I'm a very, very happy guy. So some people don't like me because I'm successful, but then when they go after me and try to hurt me, they're hurting my wife, my son, my daughter, their husband, their wife, their children. Don't they realize if they go after you, they're hurting everyone else in your family as well? I could never do that. No way.
Yeah, no. You're that kind of person. You want to give back, and like you just said, you're in an area, you're in a place right now, being in South Florida, where there is a lot of backstabbing people, okay? But what's happening is that drives you to move forward deeper and larger and stronger to get to the ultimate goal, and it's because you're teaching, okay? A lesson learned is a lesson earned, and this is great. I hate to say this to you, and I'm going to say something to you that probably somebody else would not even tell you, not even a therapist. It was the best thing that you chose your mom and your dad, because FYI, baby, they didn't choose you. You chose them, okay? This was kind of like the only bus that was available, so this is what you got.
Okay.
But it was good because you had to go through all that trauma. You had to go through all that because maybe if you had it all given to you on a silver platter, guess what? You wouldn't be where you're at. You wouldn't have your kids. You wouldn't have your family. You wouldn't have your wife. So you got to thank them for what they put you through and where you're at versus where you could have been. Do you see what I'm saying? So the real truth is you have made it. You've made it. You're growing. Your energy's growing. And you're able to connect and be able to help so many other people. And you're going to live into your high 90s, baby. You ain't going nowhere anytime soon.
Oh, I love it. Catherine, what do you think of that? High 90s.
High 90s?
She goes high 90s.
So you're going to have to really enjoy him, girl. You're going to be around for a long time.
And we've seen high 90s. It's not pretty.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
that is true.
And time isn't like the most gracious.
Brain, so that's good.
Wait a minute,
No
time's not what?
Alzheimer's, no dementia, baby.
That's true.
Oh, none of that. That's great.
Nope.
What?
No Alzheimer's, no dementia.
Nope.
What do you mean as of today? Or is this the rest of my life? So what? You were going to make a point, though.
I was going to say you're not the most gracious patient.
What do you mean patient?
I've already told you. If you get sick, you're going right in the nursing home because I can't take care of you.
Oh my God! If I get sick, I get to go to the nursing home.
Well, so you better not get sick. Stay healthy.
God.
Wood. No, he's going to be good. And you know what? She says it now, but you guys are the love of each other's life. You guys are twin flames. Did you ever hear that terminology before?
Mm-hmm.
There's three kinds of soulmates. There's love, there's sex, there's love that'll change you forever. There's soulmates, there's connecting soulmates, and there's twin flame soulmates that are very, very rare. I repeat, very rare. And I believe you guys are twin flame soulmates. I feel like you guys are two physical bodies, but one connected soul. So the interesting about both of you is you run off of each other's energy. So, for instance, if you're in a great mood and you're doing well, she's in a bad mood, she's not doing so well, your mood and your energy is just going to change. And you don't even need to be at the same place at the same time. You could be somewhere else, but you can tap into each other's energy. So this is the unfortunate part. It will be the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. But one thing with you guys is there is no problem, so only solution. And that's why your marriage is going to last until death do you part. So I don't see any other partners, no other in between, no other for now, no third parties. So you guys are together. You guys are in it or win it.
That's a good thing.
I just read a statistic that said that there's fewer marriages happening.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to get married. They want partners these days. Well, Europe does that a lot. They don't get married. That's a big thing in the UK to have partners.
Okay. Well, so what does that mean for having children? They don't care about the legal ramifications about not being married and all that, or how's it working?
People are just doing it. Heck, people are having surrogates. People are having other people having them for you. Sperm donors.
Sure.
Yeah, that is true. No question. Alex, what do you think of this?
The world that we live in is so different these days than what it was 25, 30 years ago. Hell, even 15 years ago. People are doing it on their own. People are like, screw this. I'm doing this on my own. I'm going to do what I need to do to make my life happen. And if you're that person that falls into that category, well, kudos. Go do it. Go do what you got to do. Live your best life. Enjoy your life. And not everybody is marriage material. You want to be married, you get married. You stay married. You don't want to be married, then you get a partner. Or some people are born destined to be alone until they're ready to die on a rock by themselves.
Andy, can you imagine being a parent to Ethan right now by yourself?
Oh, God, no. Wouldn't work very
Got
well.
the 2-year-old,
He's
Deborah.
2, and he's a menace to society right now.
He is.
They just have to get a St. Bernard with some juice in that little barrel that they have in their neck. So he can just walk over and give him some juice whenever he wants.
Well, Deborah, I will tell you this. His son, Ethan, I love the kid. Although he stole my birthday. I was born November 7th, so he was born November 7th. So it's no longer my birthday. But other than that,
Look what a gift. Look what a gift. You got the best gift that ever. You got the gift of life, baby. That's amazing. You can't put a price tag on that for nothing.
That's a very good point.
I wonder what Ethan's psychic energy would be like. It would fill the room.
Do
for
2-year-olds
sure.
have psychic energy?
Yeah, well, good question, Deborah. Do 2-year-olds have psychic energy?
Absolutely. I believe that their energy is more open as children because they're able to connect and communicate with spirit. As I told you in the beginning, my ability started up really, really strong when I was around 6 years old. And because I came from a third-generation psychic family, that it wasn't boo-hooed, okay? So I believe that we all have intuition. It's just that you need to help them and allow your children at that young age to develop it, and don't push them back and be like, oh, you're crazy, you're seeing things, you're feeling things, or this is just an imaginary friend. What if they are speaking to some loved one? What if they are speaking to a spirit? Connect with their energy. So, yes, absolutely. I believe that some of us are more in tune than others, obviously, but I believe that, yes, 100%. Pay attention to your kids, and if they're talking to spirit, encourage them, because that's their own intuition. That's the third chakra, otherwise called the Gita.
What do you think of that, Andy and Alex?
There you go.
Because got, what are they now? 7 and 5, 6 and 8?
7 and 5.
7 and 5, there you go.
Yep.
So...
Yeah, kids, it makes sense that they'd be more open to things because they're just living in the moment and everything as it comes, and adults are kind of living out of habit and just don't think about much. It seems like some days you're just kind of going through the motions. So makes sense.
Yeah, it does kind of.
Yeah,
No question.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to pay attention. Like my 2-year-old grandson, he speaks to Papa and Grandma all the time because we have a picture of them in the living room. So he's always feeding them and doing and talking. I mean, he's literally having a conversation, and I'm like, okay, they're communicating. You just can tell. Like there's somebody there, and there's somebody they're speaking to, not just to a picture. And you're like, okay, he's connected, and we just let him be. That's his intuition. You just got to let him roll, let him be. And as they get older, their vibration will change, their energy will change, and that will help them succeed and navigate whatever it is that their career path may be.
Deborah, how is it that people, like when I met Catherine, I walked in and to my attorney's office, and you were just kind of filling in at that point, weren't you?
No, I had a part-time job there.
You had the part-time job there. But I walked in and I was talking to her, and she was a kind of a smart ass to me, which, by the way, was a home run. I love smart ass people. Right?
I feel like the universe put her there for you for a reason. That's what I'm channeling right now. I feel like you guys are rekindled flame. You guys been together at least 14, 15 past lives.
Really?
Wow.
14, 15 times?
When will I learn?
I feel like you guys keep coming back, sort of kind of to do it over again and again and again and again. And I feel like this is your guys' completion. You won't have to come back and do this rodeo again.
Oh, okay. This
But-
is it, Tom. Next life.
I don't know that I ever asked
Nirvana
Catherine.
awaits.
Done.
I don't know if I ever asked Catherine this question, but I talked to her a little bit, and then she was going to journalism school, and I was doing a lot of voiceover at the time, so she wanted to interview me for her journalism school credits or whatever it was. But actually, we went out to dinner and had a nice dinner, and she interviewed me at dinner and all the rest of it. And I don't know if there are things that go on in the universe, but one of the first things that connected Catherine to me is we sat down and we're having dinner, and I found a hair in my food. So I took it out and set it aside. Then I found 2 more hairs in my food.
I'm grossing out right now.
And Catherine said to me, "What is the matter over there?" And I said, "Well, Jesus, there's a wig in my food." And she started laughing so hard. That was the point I figured, I could spend a lot of time with this woman. There's no question. She thought that was hilarious. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
So,
It was a good comeback.
I came up with a good
Whatever
comeback.
that was, you got to thank them because that was the beginning to your life.
Yeah, thanks for shedding in my food.
Yes, thanks for putting 3 hairs in my food because I ended up with Catherine. So thank you very much for that. But I don't know if I've ever asked you this, Catherine, but I kind of knew within the first week of knowing with you that I could spend a lot of time with you. How long did it take you?
I'm still thinking about it.
She's still thinking about it after 44 years. She's not convinced it's going to work. There's no question about that.
I have a fun kind of psychic story about
Oh, see?
Dan and me.
I'm ready.
We were on a boat, the family, the 4 of us, with a psychic. And she did a reading to me, and she told me that I was going to marry someone named Steve, which did not happen. And I was going to have twins, which did not happen. But I did marry a twin. And when she told me I was going to marry a man named Steve, I got a very clear picture of somebody in my head. And this was when I was like 11, 12 years old. She was like, "You're going to marry a man named Steve." I got a super clear picture of somebody in my head. And when I walked in on our first date, because we met online, so I'd seen pictures of him and stuff. But when I walked into our first date and I opened the door and he was waiting for me in the entryway, I looked at him and I was like, "It's him." Like
There's
that's
Steve.
There's Steve.
like when she said
Maybe that
Steve,
was
and I
Steve
got
in
it.
a past life, and Steve came back to get you, buddy.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know. I
Maybe it
mean-
was Steve McQueen.
Well, I dated a guy who had a brother-in-law named Steve, and I was like, maybe that's where the Steve came from. I'm not sure, but it was just interesting to me when I saw him. I was like, this is the guy that I had in my head, and like who I saw.
You manifested him. So whatever she did, she planted a seed. I mean, obviously she was wrong on the name,
Yeah.
but she planted a seed, and you married somebody with the twin energy, but you were able to connect. So right there at that moment, it opened you up. And the universe connected you guys. You guys are rekindled flames. I mean, this is what it is, and It took a strong personality to even get you, girl, because you were a hard ass. You understand what I'm saying? You're that kind of person. You got to get it done the right way or not at all.
Yeah.
And that means that you're in the driver's seat. Come on, let's say it like it is. We know who drives the show. It's you, because you're that kind of person. You're ADD. You got to get things moving and grooving.
Oh, she knows you.
Because that's just the way you are. That's your energy. You're very, you're straightforward. You're analytical. What you see is what you get. But one thing I can tell you, you have to be with somebody who was at that level that was really going to move your energy, because it was going to take a lot to move that energy, girl. And he did it. He busted the move, girl. He busted right through that vortex of energy.
I love that.
Bless him. Bless him.
Yeah, no question about it. Now, Andy, turning to you, how did your relationship work out? Where did it start? How did it happen?
I mean, basically the same as Alex's, honestly. We met online, and that was that.
But when
Easy peasy.
So when you walked in and you saw her, did you know? Because like the first time I saw your mom, I knew there was something. I didn't know we'd end up together, but I thought, oh God, I would end up with that kind of woman. So did you know that when you first met Melissa?
I don't think when we first met, like, walk in the door kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's very cliche to say, but like after maybe 2 dates, we definitely both had that feeling of having known each other for a very long time, even though we hadn't. So I think that was a big indicator for me.
Well, I remember when I met Melissa and kind of got to know her a little bit. And like, I always would tell people, I'm like, Andy's going to end up with somebody that's this, 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 and this. And I met her and I was like, yep, here she is. Like,
really?
This is exactly who
Your
I...
intuition felt it.
Yeah.
You manifested for me.
I did, I guess. I don't know.
No effort on my part.
Seriously, it was like, she is exactly who I had always been, like, Andy's going to end up with somebody like
Yeah?
this.
Really?
It is her. Yeah.
Huh.
So what's that all about?
Why? Because she's the same person every day. That's what I'm picking up on. She's never changed. She's always the same person. And what you see is what you get. And she's very authentic. That's the word that keeps coming up. Authentic, authenticity. Her energy is just very like what you see is what you get. And that's why you guys are going to last a lifetime. God bless.
Well, thank you.
A lifetime, Andy. So far, everybody's in good shape.
You only have the 2 kids right now? You only have the 2 right now?
I'm the daughter and I have 2 kids.
I got one.
Okay, because I'm picking up on another baby coming in. So I don't know which one of you guys, but
Not
I'm
us.
feeling another soul coming in. Just so you guys know.
Well, then.
Man,
There's been talk.
Get ready.
I'm telling you,
Getting
Deborah.
ready.
Andy, it's not us.
I don't know. It could be mom and dad.
Not mom and
We're
dad either.
adopting another
We
puppy.
know it's not mom and dad. We know it's not mom and dad. That
No.
next ship done came in and sailed, baby.
Ours
That
will
ship
have
has
sailed
sailed.
in 2 months. It will be no
Oh,
longer
yeah?
possible for us to have children.
Well, there you go.
That's the whole deal. Now, Deborah, I do want to ask you about Psychic Connection with Deborah Graham. What's your podcast all about?
The podcast is about finding love, connecting with love, soulmates, whether you're wanting to communicate with a partner on the other side, somebody who you've lost, a loved one. And also people call about, their job, their career. I mean, I've had people call it just about everything. They call about their animals. They talk about their spirit guides. We talk about communication. It's kind of like an educational show, because not only am I reading you, I'm teaching you and I'm learning you how to communicate with your spirit. It's like I said, it's a one-stop shop. You ask, you shall receive, you shall seek it, you shall find it. It's what it is. On the Psychic Connection with Deborah Graham, wherever you listen to your podcast.
So people can call in and ask you questions about things that have happened to them, or feelings they have, or dreams they've had. They call in and talk about that.
Well, this is what happens. They'll call in. They'll give me their birth date. They'll give me one question, and then from there, I'll just start reading them and just telling them whatever I'm seeing.
Are you capable of always reading somebody, or are some people not easy to read?
Nope, I can do it 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I like to say my antennas are always buzzing. They're always on fire.
Do you have to drink a lot?
You know what? It's interesting. I would love to drink, but I am allergic to alcohol. I know, and I'm Greek, right, man? Big fat Greek wedding. I should be like, hey, uzo, kumbado, let's get it. I drink. I'm a one-drink maximum. My husband says I'm a cheap date. He says, thank God, you are married, because God knows what could have happened. And my marriage was arranged, by the way. We had the big fat Greek wedding.
Wow.
So I have a question.
amazing.
Did you know what's your husband's first name?
George.
Okay, did you know the second you met George, or did you have a feeling like when I met Catherine, it's like, oh, that is, first of all, Catherine's a very tall woman, But no, I just kind of walked into why are you shivering?
Just ooh.
Well, I was impressed with you. I mean, I think it would be good to be impressed with you.
Well, no, I got to be honest with you. No, I didn't want to marry him. My marriage was arranged. My mom said, no, you're going to marry him, and you guys are going to be together. And I was like, no way, I don't want to get married. So, of course, she said, you're going to leave the house. You're going to go move in with your aunt, and you're going to stay there until you decide. So I stood with her for about 3-4 days, and I said, oh, no, I'm going to end up like her. So next thing you know, 6 months later, we're married. So here we are. So to be honest with you, that's what my mom did. She nudged us, and she was, spot on. Obviously, she was psychic as well. God bless her soul. She passed away about 30 years ago. But the reality is that's kind of what I do is I nudge you and help you to get from, A to Z to kind of navigate and kind of call myself a human weed whacker to clear you from whatever low vibrational energy is in the way to kind of help you push through it. Because sometimes what you think you need and what you want is not always what it is. So I always tell people, keep an open mind, be open. I'm like Shallow Hal. I don't look at you. I look in you. And that's how I'm able to connect people with their partner, their soulmate. Even if they're online dating and they'll show me a picture, I'll be like, no way, no way, no way. Some of my clients just hate me because I'm like, nope, he's not the one until we find the one, or she's the one, or he's the one, or however it works, communicating and connecting, because you want to be with somebody who's going to last a lifetime, not a wham, bam, thank you, man.
So how often do you make appearances on radio stations, on podcasts and things like that? Is it a daily thing for you?
No, our podcast is a weekly show. It drops out every Friday. And, I'm reading people every day. Like I said, I work about 18 hours a day every day.
The reason I ask you that is because I just got a couple of messages. My watch shows me my messages. And a couple of people are asking if you could come on and take calls from listeners sometime.
Absolutely, 100%. I would be happy to.
Okay, we got to talk about that because they'd be very interested. They think, well, first of all, I think the listeners, because I was on a radio show for 37 years in town, and now we've been on this show. It's coming up on a year next week, as a matter of fact.
Congrats.
But they're very interested to find out, because they think that you just nailed my family. That everything that you said about my family is pretty much spot on.
Well, they know you better than I do. I'm just reading your energy, baby.
Well, there's one thing someday I'm going to tell you that you said during the show that is 100% true, but I can't even tell you what it is yet. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
It's going to be pretty interesting.
All right. Art says Deborah needs to go.
Oh, Deborah, you got to go. I'm sorry. But, Deborah, why don't we stay in touch?
Definitely. I would love to come back where you could bring some of your listeners on, and I would be happy to do readings. And if they want to get a free 5-minute reading live on the air, all they would need to do is go to psychicdeborahgraham.com. That's psychicdeborahgraham.com, and they could either get a one-on-one reading with me, or they could come live on the podcast and listen in wherever you listen to your podcast. The Psychic Connection with Deborah Graham.
We'll get it done. We'll talk to you very soon and have you on again because our listeners want to ask you questions. All right?
Oh, yes. I'm happy to be there. God bless you guys, and happy Valentine's Day. Enjoy your family. Be well.
Thank you. You too, Deborah. Thank you. Deborah Graham, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it didn't have an out time on this scripter here, so I didn't know how long she had. But
No.
Art does a great job with that kind of thing, so I will follow Art's lead. Right?
Oh, yep.
So what'd you guys think? I mean, she nailed a couple of things pretty solid.
What is the weird thing that you said you can't tell her?
Well, I'll tell you the same time that we can talk about it on the air. She said something that is 100% true, but I can't tell anybody what it is yet.
Why? If she said it, I'm confused.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Something that I've always thought was interesting about our family and like dynamics and whatever is, Dad, you are a very attached person. Like you need people around you all the time, and like you always want to be around Mom, and like you have a hard time being away from her.
Yes.
And Andy's that way. And like he's always been that way with anybody he dated. Like he's always just wanted to spend as much time with them as possible. And now him and Melissa is that way too. Like they just always want to be together and in their house and with each other.
Yeah, we're together 99% of the day.
Yeah. And Mom is more independent. She is like I need to be doing stuff and I need my own space and all that sort of thing. And I'm that way. And Dan is also that way. Like Dan and I are both very, very independent. And I think it's interesting because like you two have the mixture of one person that's really attached. I mean, not attached. What am I trying to say? What's the word? Mom, what is
Involved.
that? Because you're both attached and involved. What is-
Clingy?
yeah, kind of clingy. Yeah.
Codependent?
I mean, sure. Codependent.
What?
That's the word I'm looking for. Codependent. Because Dad,
Great.
you're codependent. Mom's independent. And Andy, you're codependent. Melissa's codependent. And then Dan and I are both independent. And it's interesting that like there's each of the three combos in that. And I've just found that to be interesting that it ended up that way. I don't know.
You know what's interesting about what you're saying? What drove me to be that way? Almost, not all of them, but almost every one of my friends ended up getting divorced. And I watched it. I watched it happen. Some of
Yeah.
them got married in their teens and all that. Some later on, some in their early 20s. But I watched their marriages fall apart. And I just said, if I ever get married, I am not going to let this happen.
Well, you're just a codependent person, and that's
Well,
just
and
your
it-
nature. And it makes sense because you're sorry, Mom.
She's on a
That's okay.
roll.
And it makes sense because it's like you grew up with a lot of like there wasn't a whole lot of stability in your
No.
life. So once you found someone that gave you some stability, you're like, I just want to be around this all the time. Like it's great to have stability and consistency, and I like this. So it makes sense.
Well, he hasn't always been that way through this marriage. I mean, when we were very first together, he was. And then after we had kids and the radio show started going on, he was very
Yeah,
into
gone.
just
Yeah.
friends and work,
Yeah, it's
friends and work, friends
Well,
and work.
building that show was not easy to do.
No. And so, yeah. And it's a good thing I am independent because it was not, I was doing most of the parenting pretty much by myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, so after
Right.
after you, I think I don't know, realize that because you've also got that anxiety part. I mean, you grew up in a family that you couldn't rely on financially,
Right.
or really any sort of real support other than maybe just you knew that your mom loved you
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and you knew that she was doing everything she could to take care of you, but it was hard. It was hard work.
Because my father had no interest in anybody in the family except for one person.
Exactly. So you grew up in all this chaos. So I mean,
Right.
I remember when the kids were really little and they could just be tearing the house apart and you'd be sleeping through it. Mm-hmm. Because I almost think that the chaos was soothing to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but you have to remember also that building that show to be the biggest show in America took a hell of a lot of work and a lot of anxiety. There are a lot of people that resented the hell out of me for doing that, and to this day would love to stab me in the back over that.
Right. Well, I'm just saying your priorities changed because when the kids were little, you felt, in my opinion, that most of your problems came from being poor
That's 100%
and not
true.
having money.
That's correct.
And you did not want your children to grow up
Nope.
being poor. So it
Nope.
was most important to make money. So, I mean, yeah. And then after, that happened and you felt comfortable or whatever about how much money and your career and all that stuff, then you started coming around more towards the family unit. So, yeah, it hasn't always been that way. I mean, there were times where I don't think I saw your dad more than 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Yeah, he was gone in the morning, on Saturday, out golfing all day long.
With
Sunday,
clients.
golfing. I mean, he came home for dinner and went to bed at 7:30.
Yeah, it's pretty much
Yeah.
true.
Most
I
of
got
the
up
time.
at 3:30 in the morning for
Well, yeah, it
37
was-
years.
So, yeah,
Hour
so-
drive into work. So.
Yes, I mean, and my point is that no marriage stays exactly the same
No.
because your circumstances are, changed. Like right now, you guys are sort of, well, Alex, you're sort of getting out of it. Your kids are getting a little older. They don't take quite so much care. They can be left alone for a few minutes without.
Yeah, that's what I'm most looking forward to is being able to leave Ethan alone in a room for 30 seconds without someone or something
30
getting
whole
broken.
seconds.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and like I said, it does seem like he's never going to stop because he is such an
He never does
active.
stop.
Yeah, but he will.
Oh, God, you should have seen him yesterday.
Oh, my
We went to
God.
the beach.
Yeah.
So we go down to the water, and we teach him that you can pick up sand and throw it. So he spends probably an hour and a half just picking up sand and throwing it into the ocean over and over and over, just not getting tired.
And
That's what he did.
And he was just like, he was having the time of his life.
Yes, he was.
He was
He was
having
just-
so much fun.
My kids, I feel like never. There are some kids that get like fixated on stuff like that, and they're like, "I just want to do this over and over and over again for
Right.
an extended
He
period of time."
does.
And I'm like, my kids don't have that. Like, they have not ever been amused by something specific for more than like 20 minutes. Like,
Yeah, I guess.
Even when they were
Sage
little-
can get a little fixated on a toy or something.
Or dressing up
Yeah.
like a hobo or whatever that was.
Old man.
Old
Hobo was an
man.
old man.
Oh, it was an old man, not a hobo.
Birthday's
Sorry.
Well,
I didn't know.
he can. I mean, yes. If there's a new toy, he can play with it for a while, and then it's like, okay, I've done that. But like, just throwing sand or playing in a fountain or like, just like random things. It seems like Ethan gets like really into it and will do something for an extended period of time. I'm like, my kids never did that, just like randomly, at that age.
Yeah.
Which
Well, like I said, my point is that you're not going to be in the same place in your marriage, and unless you're willing to adapt or just put up with the fact that maybe your partner is into something and it's driving and you wish that they had more to give to you, but knowing their background or whatever and knowing how important that is to let them have some latitude, and a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people cannot give the other person some latitude for a while.
No, you were great at that. And it had that, like I said, that show, the KQ Morning Show, would have never been as big as it was if I didn't put literally 18 hours a day into it and you didn't like it, but you.
Man, if
let
I
it
was
happen.
a super clingy person that needed to have a husband by my side all the time, we never would have made it past year one. There's
Yeah.
no way.
Well, that's like, and two, I mean, and like Andy and I, our marriages will probably have a harder time at very different times. Like Dan and I had a hard time when our kids were teeny tiny, and it was like I was stuck at home all the time because I always had a kidnapping between the two of them, and I hate.
Don't say kidnapping.
Kids sleeping.
Yeah, kids sleeping, not kidnapping.
I always had a kid sleeping, and I cannot be in my house for 24 hours straight. Like after 24 hours straight of being in my house, I'm like, I will burn this place down.
Yeah.
Cabin fever.
Can't take it anymore. And so that kind of thing, like that was hard for us because we're not those type of people that like just like to be at home and hang out and just be there. And like Andy, you and Melissa thrive.
Yeah, I got
being
no
at
problem with
home.
that.
Like you love being
Yeah,
at
they're
your house
homebodies,
and not
right.
having anything to do. Right now, Dan and I are like, we are like smashing it. Like everything is great right now because the kids are in different things and we each take them to their different things and we swap but we have a good balance of being at home and making dinner every night and all these things. And I feel like, Andy, if you and Ethan is in activities and then you end up having another kid and then that kid's in activities, I feel like that might be the time where you guys kind of have a hard time because you don't like running around and not being together and
That
all
is true.
that, And so it's like then you have to learn to adapt to that in the way that feels right for you, but know that it's just not going to be an ideal situation, but you just have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
That is very much. Well, one thing I was just thinking about this whole deal. Catherine and I, before we even got together, were kind of, in a way, made for each other because, we were going along, then we started dating and spent a lot of time together and all the rest of it. And then we talked about getting married. And Catherine said to me, maybe you're not going to like this too much, but after we get married, I'm not going to take your name. I'm going to keep my same last name. I said, good, I don't care, whatever. Well, first of all, Bernard and Brant are just about the same name anyway.
They're close.
So they're very, very close. But I didn't care at all. A lot of guys would have a fit if their wife didn't use their last name. I couldn't care less about something like that. And then when the two of you were born, Andy being born first, of course, do you know how you ended up with the names Brant Bernard?
Because Bernard
You
Brandt
flipped a
sounds
coin,
bad.
right?
We flipped the coin.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
is either be Bernard Brandt or Brandt Bernard. We flipped the coin. Turned
Brant
out to be-
Bernard sounds better.
It does
anyway.
sound better.
Grant
Yeah.
Bernard does sound better.
It does
Well,
sound better.
although when I got married, I was like, I don't know if I want to take Rasmussen because like my mom didn't take my dad's name, and like this has been my name my whole life. But then I was like, what the heck am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Brant Bernard Rasmussen? Like, really? That's not actually my name. I just say that on this show because it's whatever. But I'm like, I can't. And like,
It's
what would my
whatever.
kid's last name be? And then I ended up just being like,
Right.
I'm just gonna take Rasmussen because like there's no good. And Rasmussen's a long name, so I was like, if I kept Brant Rasmussen, just I'm like, it's too much.
Sounds like a
Well,
professional
and-
wrestler, Brandt
and-
Rasmussen.
And
Yeah.
Dan didn't like that thought. I remember.
He was like totally okay with it when I first was like, I don't know if I'll take your name or not, because I didn't change my name until like a week before Fawn was born.
Oh, really?
Because I was like, oh, on her birth certificate. Because I talked to somebody and they're like, if you're going to change your name, you should do it before she's born. Because if you change it after she's born, it'll be different on her birth certificate. And if something
Oh,
were to
yeah.
happen, it could be
Yep.
confusing and whatever. And so, yeah, at first, when I mentioned it when we were dating, he was like, I don't really care. And then once we were married, and then I was like, I don't know if I'm going to change my name, and like felt, and it like upset him more, I think, about having the idea of having kids that didn't have his last name.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but
I know, but then again, once again, what happens if you have 4 girls and they all get married and they all take another name? You're not going to have your name anyway.
yeah,
That's true.
I mean,
yeah, I know.
It's only in names, not that big a deal.
It's really not. I don't know. But then it was, I mean, growing up, Andy, I don't know if you got this a lot because I did. Everyone constantly thought you two were divorced because I had 2 last names.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I
All
guess
the time.
I never got that. No. I guess
People
that
ask
makes
me
sense,
all the
though.
time, like, your parents must be divorced, or are your parents are divorced? Why do you have 2 last names? And like, just explaining it to people, it was like, no, my mom just didn't take my dad's last name. I have 2
What I got a lot, and I still get a lot, is they'll ask me for my last name, and I'll say Brant Bernard, and they say, no, just your last name, because they think I'm saying Grant Barnard.
Oh, Grant
yeah.
Bernard.
I know.
yeah.
I honestly,
It's
I
like,
mean,
how hard
think
is
I'm
this?
the only woman in the world that didn't. It's like,
I
really?
know, it's
I'm the
weird.
only woman ever that didn't change her name? I mean, that's how I
No.
feel sometimes. I mean, even women.
Yeah.
You say, you didn't take your husband's last name? I said, no, I didn't. What? It's
I
like,
know.
this is 2024. This isn't some
Well,
new
and
concept.
it's like there's also a huge Hispanic population in America, and Hispanic people often have like 6 or 7 names because they just
Right.
keep tacking them on.
They do, yeah.
When they get married, they just add the name on. They don't
Yep.
change it.
Right.
So it's like, how do these, like when these people ask for their last name, and they say 3 different names, are they like, oh, I can't believe you're doing that?
yeah.
No, my
I
only
think you'd be used to it by now.
My only friend that didn't change her last name when she got married was my friend that they aren't having children. She was like, why? What does it matter?
Well, there you
We're
go.
not having kids, then that like eliminates the, oh, we're all the same kind of thing. So she didn't take his last name.
Yeah, I mean, Catherine, your mom already pointed out that it ended up Brant Bernard, but if it ended up Bernard Brandt, what's the difference? Sounds the same anyway. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Well, and like
said, it's
I
just
thought
weird.
about I was like, Sage's name could be Brant. I was like, that's like a cute, but I was like, but then everybody would think he's saying Grant
Yeah.
his whole life, and that would be annoying.
Oh, and whenever I give my last name, everyone's Grant, Catherine Grant. I'm like, buh, with a B.
Yeah.
Oh, I have had it written down Grant a million times.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
like
mean,
when
whatever.
Fawn got her scholarship at the dance thing. Fawn Rasmussen.
Fawn Rasmussen.
Yeah, Rasmussen,
I've heard
Ras-
that.
Brandit, we got a lot.
Yeah, Brandit.
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 Yeah, I always know it's a marketing call when they go, Catherine Brandit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Click.
Have they never seen German words spelled out?
Well, most people did drop the D.
Yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah, most Brandts, you'll see a ton of them in the, in the world without the D.
Well, and the original
every once
German
in a
doesn't have the T. It's Brand, which means sword.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's why I say
Interesting.
brandish.
Yep, exactly. Or firebrand. would be,
Firebrand, yep.
that
Fiery
makes true.
sword.
sense.
There you go.
All right, I thought it was a brilliant show today. We learned a lot about ourselves and other people. So
And
that's
we're
good.
soul twins,
Soul
Twin
twins.
flames.
twin flames,
Twin
Twin
flames. There you
flames,
go.
yes.
oh,
Flame.
soul twins.
Soul twins.
I mean,
twins.
I don't know, it sounds like a
you call it what feels right to you, Mom.
Soul Twins sounds like a 70s cartoon about
Yes.
two cheesy superheroes.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
the Wonder Twins,
We should
but
write that
Bell
cartoon.
bottoms.
it's like Black Wonder Twins, the Soul Twins.
Hey, with
the
AI, we
Soul
could do that.
Twins.
We could just do that.
Yeah,
I
they
can do it
probably
right now.
could.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's do it.
All right. Mom and Alex won't be around tomorrow, Andy, but I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
We won't be back
I'll be
until
here.
Tuesday.
What's that?
We won't be back
Tuesday.
until Tuesday. It's President's
Were
Day
you-
Monday.
So what?
We usually don't have a show on President. Well,
We
can
don't?
talk
Are we
about this later.
Are we doing
We
a show?
don't
on
usually
Monday?
have a show on President's Day.
Well, you guys don't have to if you don't want to.
No, I'm saying we as a collective.
That's what I'm saying. If
Usually
if you guys don't want to do it, I'm going to do the morning show on Monday, but we don't have to do this show.
We can solve this later.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk
All
to you later.